I used to check my emails until 9, 10 p.m. every single night. And if you'd asked me why, I would have just said I was being professional, I was being thorough, I didn't want to miss anything. But what I was actually doing was avoiding the feeling of being finished because I had no way of marking that my day was over and that my work was done. Hi, I'm Jane, and if you're a tutor who's trying to build a business that works alongside your life rather than at the expense of it, then you're in the right place. You're listening to the Tutor Edit. I started tutoring face-to-face in local libraries over a decade ago, and over the last 12 years, I have grown that into an international tuition business with a team of tutors that supports students worldwide. And each week, as the host of the Tutor Edit, I will share reflections from my own business and the conversations that I've had with other tutors, not to tell you what to do, but just to pass on what I've learned through lived experience. Now, over the last few weeks, I've talked a lot about the cost of switching, the guilt that is real and comes with building a business alongside real life. And I've also talked about what happened when I physically moved my business out of the house and started using a co-working space. Now, this week is about something a bit smaller, but it is equally as powerful as all of the other things that I've talked about. It is how I stopped working. And it sounds really simple, but when you work for yourself, the work is never done. We all know that, don't we? There's always another email to reply to. There's always another thing that we could be doing. And if we wait until everything is finished, just before we stop, then we will just never stop. And that is the reality of running a business. And that was definitely something that I've experienced in my time as a tutor and a business owner. Now, I would finish a tutoring session and then just quickly check something. I would then be sat there for up to an hour, just spiraling in the tasks that I'd found every evening. The problem wasn't that I was working too much. The problem is that I had no finish line. And that is something that a lot of tutors tell me. There is no definitive point when you work for yourself that your day is over. So it is up to us to create that finish line. And that's certainly what changed for me. That when I started to read about how our brain handles open loops. Now, my personality type is I am a completer. I cannot rest until something is completed. The reality is that your brain does not like unfinished things. It holds on to them in the background, and this is what causes us the stress. This is why we maybe think about work during dinner or wake up at 3 a.m. remembering something that we forgot to do. I was creating hundreds of these open loops without really realizing and had no way of deliberately closing any of them. I never really gave my brain a signal that said very clearly, we're done, you can let go. So I started using one on recommendation. So I'm going to share that with you today. It is 3 steps. It will take you 10 minutes at the end of each day. I still do this, and it's been very, very helpful just to build that habit. So what is it? What are these 3 steps? Well, step 1 is the brain dump. So I will open a physical notebook and write down everything that's in my head, and it just clears all of the clutter, that mental clutter that can cause us stress, anxiety, maybe fatigue. Every unfinished task that I have kind of on my plate that day, it goes into this notebook. Even every worry that I have, everything that I'm thinking of, oh, right, I must do that when things calm down. I mean, spoiler, they never do they? We know that by now. I don't particularly organise it. This is just to get it out of my brain, because the goal here isn't necessarily a to-do list. It's just moving information that you're carrying, that mental clutter in your brain, onto paper so that your brain can stop tracking it. Now, particularly at my age, the grand old age of 44, I find this essential. I find this a really great way of just keeping track of everything that's in my brain. If I don't write it down, my brain just keeps repeating it. It just keeps repeating like, oh, don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do that. When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? And that was quite exhausting. So I don't know if this happens to you. Let's get in touch and have a chat if it does. Now, once I've done that brain dump, we move on to step 2. I will then create a big 3 for each day. And I talked about this in a previous podcast episode. And this will take 2 minutes. This is just my big 3, my priority tasks for that day. I'll look at the 3 priorities that I need to complete that day, and I set them that morning. And then this is basically my to-do list. I tick them off when I've completed it. Now, if I don't get that done for whatever reason, then that gets done. That just gets moved until tomorrow. And there's no guilt. There's no kind of self-criticism there. There's no judgment. It just gets moved because they are the priority tasks for the week. They are the priority tasks for that day. Now, this gives a really clear structure of what the priorities are so that we don't get distracted from reacting throughout the course of the day. These are the 3 non-negotiables that are the priorities for that day. 3 is a manageable number, but it will also give us that sense of satisfaction at the end of the day that we have been productive, that we have moved things forward, and that we have done what we need to do. Step 3 is essential for me. It is a shutdown routine. Now, this shutdown routine involves listing my big wins for that day. And they could be anything. They could be business related. It could be that I've managed to get myself out for a walk that day at lunchtime, or it could be meeting a friend or my mum for a coffee. And then I will map out my big 3 for the following day. So that is out of my brain and I know what I need to look at the following day. I don't need to have it carried in my head for the rest of the evening. And then crucially, I walk away. I walk out of here and I close the door. I'll go off for a walk, maybe. Something that isn't work is essential. Because if I close this computer down and then sit scrolling on my phone, the door doesn't close and the boundary is lost. So it's crucial that I have to leave this physical space and go and do something else. Now, why does this work? There are 3 things that are happening here. The brain dump closes all of the open loops in our mind. So every thought that we have is now on paper, so that it's almost like a release from your brain. The big 3 gives us tick-offs so that we can tick off and feel like we have completed something, that there is a hint of satisfaction that tells your brain like that you have definitely achieved something today, because we've all had those days where we think, oh my goodness, like, what have I achieved? And then the 3rd step, that physical exit and that shutdown, just retrains your brain to understand that work has an end point. And this is really the most crucial thing for us as business owners, because over time, you will stop associating evenings or after that point, when you have had that shutdown, with work. It's a really definitive point where you tell your brain really clearly that that is it, you are done. Now, when I first started doing this, I just feel a bit silly. Like I would talk out loud to myself and say, right, you are done. You are leaving now. You're leaving the office. You're going to do something else. It felt quite performative. It felt like I was pretending to be somebody that had my life together. But here's what I've learned. You have to do the thing before you become the person that does the thing. The ritual comes first. And then the feeling of control will follow. So crucially, you don't have to wait until you feel disciplined to build the habit. You just have to start building the habit, even if it feels a little bit artificial. That is when the discipline starts to arrive, after you have that consistency. So try this tomorrow, maybe. At the end of your working day, write down the 3 things that you did. Say that you're done. Close your laptop and then walk away. Try it a couple of times so that it becomes embedded in your routine. Because I think you may be surprised by how much your brain has been waiting for permission to stop. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe for more support, strategies, and maybe a little inspiration to help you grow a tutoring business that works alongside real life. I've put together a business review to help you understand what has gone well throughout the course of your business and where there's some room for improvement. Now, if you are watching on YouTube, you can grab it now using the QR code here. And if you're listening on audio, I'll link it in the show notes for you. Now, if this has been helpful or resonated with you in any way, please like and maybe share it with somebody else who would find it useful. I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Bye.